comments. First of all, Janetta, we were talking about authors, and now you're an author. Talk to us. What book did you author? What did you pen?
I've authored a book on my family history. And actually, it's all about the experience of finding the history and the different types of things that happened to me as I began to get oral information. Right now, based on what you guys are talking about, though, I think lots of us have ideas and books on the shelf, but I have one that I'm kind of working on and have been since 2007 when my mom passed away, called Care Lovers. And it's about taking care of elderly parent and what you go through during that period when they are in demise. So often it falls on the girl. It's automatically assumed that it will be them. I hated the term caregiver. I was actually a care lover for my mom, and I made sure that everything I could possibly do, including quitting my job, I was there 24/7 to take care of her. And I just want to share one quick little thing to say, check your messages, check your voicemails, your texts. We get so tense in taking care of our relatives that all you need is a little valve, somebody to say, I love you, hang in there, girl, I know what you're going through. And that
All right.
makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. Talk to us, Judy, real quick before we get out of here. You were sitting over there chomping at the bits. Talk to us.
Well, I just want to say, sitting in the audience has been really fulfilling for me as an aspiring author who wants to be inspiring like all of these wonderful authors on your panel. And Dr. Morrison, I really was just intrigued by the fact that when he began to write his book, The Letters to His Sons, he didn't come from a theologian standpoint, because that he has all the credentials, but he wanted to reach that age, and he did so by relating to them in their subject matter, in their language, and that is so awesome. And then the other thing on the panel is that the topic of pain, be it death, be it grief, divorce, is synonymous because it's pain. And I love the way Ms. Selma said it, pain to purpose. And as she stated in the word that, looking at the scripture of the expected end. And the expected end in many cases doesn't look good going through, but we learn that it pulls out something good that can reach the masses. And I really
I like
appreciate
that.
all the authors here in seeing that. It's been a blessing. And then she said something, Miss Brownell, in terms of what get her to go home to write, and that inner spirit would not stop until it was on the paper. So you have to be a ready writer at all times. And I am just so moved by this entire panel. Thank you all so much.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And that is the purpose of this show, because writers, like I said before, are important, because life cannot go on without books, right? Yes. Because they're the carriers of history, they're the carriers of instruction, they're the carriers of encouragement, and also inspiration. And we all need that. And that's why I am so glad that this segment, because it is written, it is written in your spirits that you are writers. And Brownell, talk to us now. You mentioned the fact we're almost out, and I want to get the last hoorah, and if really give the audience. I want you guys to look at your perspective cameras and give the audience that is sitting there, because there's probably somebody out there thinking whatever they've gone through, they could say, I write a book. You hear people say that all the time. As an author, give them some take home where they can take notes with their pen and pad from watching the show today on what it is that you would leave them with a bit of inspiration, encouragement, or an enlightenment.
Well, I think it's a twofold thing that I'd like to express. One is, as I said, the bliss that you can get, and to always be ready, like our audience member said, that you have to be able to take those notes, but you also have to have an audience. We can write all day long, but unless somebody reads it. And so I'm launching a venture that I'm calling Readers Club International that allows readers to read books before they come out. It's called Read It First, Read It Free, we're calling it. And so readers can read books, and then authors can get an audience and start building an audience.
Oh, I like that. Well, give us a website and all the pertinent information.
It's www.readersclubinternational.com. So that's it.
So now, not only for readers, what about authors?
So, like I said, readers can join for free, and they can choose the books that they want to read for free. And of course, I'm putting my books on there as well, and Dr. Tim is putting his books. And but so they can read books before they come out. And from an author point of view, you can be able to put it on there and find out who's reading, and actually have some ability to communicate with your readers, and not just put it out there and not see what's going to happen to it.
Great, so that you can get a response.
Because we want people to read our books, right?
Okay, Selma, what about you? Look at that camera and give the audience a take home from your heart.
My take home would be, again, as Dr. Burnett said, twofold. And my elevator spiel is, what inspired me was when I heard Angela Mayu say, when you know better, you do better.
Yes.
That capsulized the reason for adding the subtitle, Understanding the Impact of Grief. Because, as Dr. Scott said, understanding brings empathy automatically.
Yes.
Once you understand what this t-shirt feels like,
Okay.
it brings empathy.
Yes. So,
And the
yes.
second piece is the scriptural phase, phase that I feel like I've lived by for many years, and that is Romans 8:18. And the suffering of these present times is not worthy to be compared to the glories that shall be revealed in us.
Wow. And your book really will inspire people to understand it. So that's the glory that God gave you to release through his direction to help other people. And you raised up to the call that God gave you. And you
I
answered.
submitted to the message and the calling, exactly. That's
Right.
the purpose
I
of the
love
pain.
it. I love it. What about you, Dr. Scott?
This was just wonderful being here. And one of these books, this particular book, I Am That, this one was co-authored by my daughter. My daughter and I wrote this book. And the reason that I am very excited about this book is I'm going back to having her see me walk through what I walked through, and having the word of God being implanted in her. So that book, I Am That, when God told Moses, whatever you need, that is what I will be. So when my daughter needed a dad, that's what God became to her.
Wow.
You understand? So I
Right.
am that. And so if anyone is interested, they can go to my website is lucillefarrellscott.com, and I have all the books there. The book I co-authored with Sandra Yancey, Surviving Against All Odds,
Yeah.
tells again the story of, just surviving. But the one thing I give it my survival is that God led the way. And it's not religious. I want people to understand, because people take religion and smash people over their head with it. And when I'm saying that God led me through this, I'm talking in about a spiritual, substantial way that I would like to invite people, those that are listening, your audience, if you're going through any pain or any grief, to understand that wherever you are, whatever your religion, your race, your creed, God is, and he will be to you whatever you need him to be. That's it.
You know, Dr. Scott, I am so glad you said that, because as this show, Express Yourself, people always ask me that. Well, is this a Christian show? You got to understand, life is about Christ. You can't, people label things,
Yes.
but life is what we were given from a power greater than any man.
Yes.
So in society, they call it, when you mention God, the strength, the inspiration, the guiding factor, well, like you said, Dr. Scott, whether you believe it or not, it is what it is.
Well, that's what inspiration is spirit within.
Right, right, that's what it is. So we're not here to start religion. We're here to talk about life.
Yes, yes.
And relationships that we are born to have with each other to help bear up your brothers and sisters in the time of need. Tim, Dr. Tim, close us out. Two minutes, and they give me the high sign, and we got to go.
You all set me up beautifully. I believe that writing is an act of discovery, reverence, and sacred
Look
trust.
at that camera. Say that again. Repeat it.
Writing is an act of discovery, reverence, and sacred trust. When you write, you're discovering what you have to say. You are discovering what is on your heart, in your head, in your mind to say. You have to approach it with reverence, because this is not to be a screed. This is not to be a ranting and a raving. You're sharing with your readers. And it's sacred trust because your readers trust you to give them something of value.
Yeah.
That's
Say that again, that last part.
Readers,
As a writer.
As a writer, you need to understand that your readers trust you
Yes.
to give them something of value.
Right, I like that.
And that's sacred trust.
Right. Oh, that was so good. And that's why it was, you know, I was inspired to do a literary, you know, literacy. Literacy is literary. Why? Because you have to become literate in the knowledge
Yes.
of different
Yes,
things. Okay? And it is written.
Yes.
You know, and all of us that know biblical know that it is written.
Yes.
And first of all, before we go, I do want people to understand that the
Yes.
Bible is another book
Yes.
that was written.
Yes.
But it's the only book that was written that encompassed history from the beginning
Yes.
to now.
Yes.
That is what the Bible is. It is a written book. And anybody that reads the Bible, as well as being an inspiration, an educational, and a motivational book, is what it is. Because it's the inspiration that was given to another person to pen this
Yes.
out
Yes.
so people
Yes.
can read it and learn.
Yes.
As my guests have each done, we've got Take Time to Give a Care by Selma Callahan. She was inspired to do this because she cares. We have 5 Reasons Why Bad Things Happen by Brunell Landrum. Why? Because she was inspired to do something to help people. We also have books by Dr. Scott, I Am That, and also Being More Than a Conqueror, and Dr. Tim, an inspired writer again, with other books. Because you need to know.
Yes.
And it has to be written in order for you to do that. And when people are inspired to write things, this is where authors come in. And, you know, I'm going to ask you guys, we need to come back again.
Yes.
Love to.
Love to. I would
You
love
heard that,
to.
audience. They
I
all
would
said
love
they'd
to.
love
I
to.
would love to. I would definitely
Because it's
love to.
important
Yes.
that we learn how
Yes.
to express our.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tim Morrison with Right Choice Services, and I help people write the books they've always wanted to write. The best one I use to help my clients is this, Writing Secrets, Essential Steps.
Because the person that's writing, there is a responsibility. So we as writers should write responsibly, because somebody is going to read what you write. Someone may take action based on what you have written. And as you said, you know, let's say I'm using him as an example, you know. Let's say my former husband wrote this long letter saying, oh, I love you, I love you. I believed that. I bought that contract. You understand? So when we're talking about writing, I think we have to respond, you know, to be responsible and know that, you know what, as a writer, as an author, I must write with integrity and I must accept responsibility for what I have written, because lives could be affected by the words that are put on the paper.
And that's true. That's why you write them. Like Brunell, you were talking about writing fictions.
And it's so different.
Yes.
For anybody in the audience is interested and you know, not sure if they've got fiction or nonfiction in them, it's a whole different process. I mean, nonfiction, you can kind of get linear. You can say, I know I want these things in there. These are the concepts. You can write a synopsis. With fiction, it writes you. I mean, it is just unbelievable. When you're talking about integrity, Dr. Scott, it is about the integrity of what these characters become, and they become
Yes.
what they want to become,
Yes.
with or without your influence. I mean, it is unbelievable how, you know, I said it's like you're like, I'm opening up a present before anyone else. I get to see it before you do, but it's just as much a surprise to me as anybody else. And so you've got to allow that feeling, and you've got to make sure that you know. And I'm telling you, talking about writing, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I have my little voice recorder and I'm recording a whole dialogue that I have to transcribe later.
Yes.
Or I do it when I work out a lot too. I don't know about you all, but when I exercise, I get ideas and they just come to me. And if I don't capture them right then and there,
right.
forget it.
Yes.
They're gone.
And in talking about integrity, people
Yes.
believe in. Now, that's the one thing about fiction.
Yeah.
You have to understand the meaning of fiction.
Yes.
Well, in fact, what the tagline that I came up with for it's called Duet Stories is my umbrella for my fiction, and I say lose yourself in the fiction, find yourself in the truth.
I like that. Look at the audience and say that again.
Lose yourself in the fiction, find yourself in the truth. So I speak from truth even though it's fiction. And even though I'm entertaining, in fact, Dr. Tim's review of my book was I entertain and I inform. So I want to inform, I want to influence people, but I also want them to enjoy it and laugh. And there's lots of jokes and lots of humor in it. And so yes, I can write a serious book, but I can also, this humor, this funny stuff that's coming.
Because
intimacy, everything else.
Right, but life is that.
Yes.
I mean, it's all of that. And speaking to that issue, when we come to just writing and integrity, Selma, when you look at writing and the seriousness of it, but in the end of that, the bottom line is what you talk about, the purpose and the pain and the promise, which is actually a positive thing.
Yes. Back to integrity.
It is. And the key thing is, as Dr. Tim and Dr. Scott said earlier, is what I found in the beginning of the process was to be sensitive to spirit and just available.
Yes.
And
That's a good way to put it.
Yes.
that was really important, to just be sensitive to spirit, that there was, to trust that there's a purpose for this. God, you got to have a purpose for this.
Yes.
I may not understand right now, but I know you have a purpose. And that's, and I agree with you in terms of, even though I was writing, nonfiction, I mean, just basically recounting of my journey, and hoping that it would enlighten and encourage others to understand, and through their understanding, have empathy, and therefore have a positive impact on the grief. The subtitle came to me the second time I was in hospital after my daughter passed. And I woke up with that first thought, as my daughter would say, hit my brain, understanding the impact of grief, because I wanted it to highlight what I meant by take time to give a care. And one of the other ongoing themes I see, with the audience, with the author group here, is that honesty helps healing.
Yes.
Yes. Look at that camera and say that again.
Yes.
Honesty helps healing.
That's true.
The fact that when you're willing to be transparent
Yes.
and bare your soul, your testimony is going to help so many other people.
Yes.
Right, right.
And so that's where the sacred trust came in, that this will go where God wants it to go.
Right. And you know what? And I'm sitting here and I feel so blessed and humble and thankful that God inspired authors.
Yes.
Because where would we be without people willing to share pain,
Yes.
to help somebody else? Because I'm sure it's painful when you're writing that.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it has to be. Because I mean, even when you write a note to let someone know a loved one is passed, you get that pit in your stomach when you got to tell them. You're like, well, you tell them. No, you tell them. I mean, in the family, you know what I'm saying? Because it takes a lot, but it takes God within you when you go through losing a loved one.
true.
And this is for everybody. This show is not for a particular person, because pain, grief are the key words that we're all going to live through.
Yes.
And each individual sitting here just came to give a little bit of insight and encouragement and enlightenment to let you know it's going to be all right.
Yes.
Because maybe that situation made an author in you. Now, the one thing I do want to say before we leave is I love authors because of the humility. And the reason I say that is authorship is something that there is no guarantee you're going to get rich quick off of it.
It's a labor of love.
No, it is. It really is. It's
a
a
labor of love.
caring thing. To me, your book, Selma, take time to care, to give a care. Authors have to take time to give a care.
Yes.
Because it takes a lot to write a book.
Yes, it does.
And a very long time. And after all that struggle, you might not even get rich off that book. But I mean, you can put it on Burnell's website to share it. But my thing is, God will bless each one of you that did it.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's what I always like to say, is that if I just want people to enjoy reading it as much as I did writing it.
Yes.
If they can get half the joy and the bliss from that experience, from any of my writing, then that's the gift in return.
But the purpose is that you got it done
Yes.
to help somebody,
help
and it's
somebody.
going to help somebody.
It's like that song your grandmother taught you. If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my
Exactly.
living shall not be in vain.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, you know what? This segment is gone. But I tell you, it truly loved having each one of you. And I greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure somebody in the audience is glad they came too. Right. Give them a hand. But anyway, we'll be back again. And always remember, Express Yourself is here because we care. We're here because we love you. And we want to help you. So whatever you've heard today, someone out there, you know, somebody loves you. And we'll be back again. Same time, same station.
Brooks with Holler at Your Ancestors. In the next 2 years, we will be celebrating the 150th anniversary of the end of slavery. Have you told your family's story? Have you run into brick walls? If so, I'd like for you to come and be a part of the 150 family historians that will write our history, put it in a book, and as a group, we will donate it to a repository here in the United States. And as we do so, we will become the largest group to ever submit their family history to a repository. Hence, we will go into the Guinness Book of World Records. If you are one of the 150 that would like for your family's story to go into history, please give me a call at 678-760-6540 or email me at gaancestors@gmail.com. Again, GA as in the abbreviation for Georgia, Ancestors, which is spelled ANCESTORS@gmail.com. In the meantime, check us out at holleratyourancestors.com. And remember, you never, ever stop researching.